Things just kind of didn't go the team's way today. What are your thoughts on how the team had? I mean, you did get 7 hits, but just couldn't kind of produce runs.
Yeah, we hit some balls hard early that on most days are home runs, and that's what I told the team. But sometimes you just have to adjust differently. We have to execute with guys on base, and we had several opportunities there to have some big innings. The 7th and 8th inning, get the leadoff guy on, second guy goes double play, and ends those 2 innings. We had a situation, you had 2nd and 3rd. KD's ball bounces out, so it holds Devin up, and then we go strikeout, ground out. TJ did hammer that ball to left center, hit a hard ball to shortstop, but there's 5 guys. So, the thing that my frustration, and I told them is that our ability to execute to a different game plan, to bring the lefty in with low slot ride, and it's like the lefty from Michigan State. You're just going to have to. And again, they moved the entire infield over. You're going to have to shoot the ball the other way, hit the ball in a line to right field, and unable to do that, and unable to really string those together. So that was the frustrating part. Was we were so dutiful last night and did a really good job in situations and hitting situationally, and typically we're fine in that regard. But you just can't rely on the home run all the time, and not that we do or we have, but it really changed the game when we couldn't come through with a base hit or a quality at bat after a quality at bat, and try to string something together and kind of do it the old-fashioned way. The situations I tried to hit and run, we got thrown out. Guy picked the breaking ball clean. Didn't really have situations to try the bunts as much, or to try the hit and runs, or try to run. We really were pretty stagnant and stationary. We couldn't really go 2 bases. It just we just didn't execute very well as far as just having to play the game more station to station and string at bats together.
It looked like Purdue's reliever had a lot of the right-handed hitters trying to pull outside pitches, and it just didn't work. Was that kind of what you saw as well?
Yeah, 100%. And you talk to them, and you call timeout and talk to them, and you talk to them in the dugout, and that's the frustration. Is he's got the low slot ride. It's going that way, and you have to trust the scouting report to be able to walk in there knowing what it's going to do, and not. I guess it does run more than I thought. It's like, well, that's what it says. What the metrics say, it's what the scouting report says. That's what 50 innings of Division I baseball this year have said. He actually played for Coach Allen last year at DePaul, so that's what you know that going into it, and we weren't able to make the adjustment to that quickly enough, and you get your butt beat when you do that.
I'm following up on last night. What makes Kraft so effective?
It's just the multitude of pitches, and so it's 4 or 5 pitches, and even when you get into a fastball count, he'll throw that cutter up and in. He'll throw the change up anytime, and the curveball is so much slower. It's a unique pitch. It's kind of a unicorn in college baseball right now, where everyone's going to the cutter and the sweeper and the sliders, and he's got that old school 12-6 curveball that's just so much slower. So there's this huge difference in velocity, and he's just outside of the kind of that normal window of release. So all that stuff together, there's no one individual pitch that's an excellent pitch. It's the combination of all of them. And then he's a strike thrower, and so you're getting ground balls and you're getting strikes, and he can hold the run game. So you can't ever really get away from him, because he's not going to walk guys. He can field his position. So all those, Ben Gribble was awesome today. You get that chopper back to the mound, right? Crafty gets that one last night, bang, snags it and runs it over and throws a guy out. So he just does all those management things really well, to where he never allows the inning to get big. And even when he falls behind, he's got weapons that he can steal strikes with or get weak contact with, and he's able to execute to those zones consistently.
Speaking of Kraft and pitching, I made sure to look at this. Not so much that this happened today, but Purdue, they've got their Friday guy they've thrown every week this year. They have their Saturday guy they threw today. They've got their high leverage reliever in very defined roles, and that's been pretty much the case with a lot of teams. You do a lot more mixing and matching throughout the last few seasons. Is that at all frustrating? And would you prefer to have the more defined roles as most teams do, or and can you just talk about that, of a lot more mixing and matching compared to the defined roles of most other teams?
Sure. You would love to be able to do that. And you look at it and you lose 2 sophomore arms to the draft, and in Foley and Reisdorf, and so you have to. It's hard to replace underclassmen as far as starter profiles that can do those things. And so you can define those as much as you want, but the game tells you, Gavin Siebold's been tremendous the last couple of weeks. He's just been better out of the pen than he was as a starter, and so you try to put him in a better position to be successful. Kraft has gotten better and better over the course of the year, and as he's established himself, we've tried to use him more as a prototypical starter. And then we've been in positions once Drew Burr got hurt, we didn't have the closer. And so you got to finish games when you have a chance to win them. So whether your Kraft gives you a start and then Gilly finishes it or Grable finishes it, the fear is always that you have a winnable game in hand, and you hold a guy that will win the game for you for a situation that may not come later in the weekend. You may score 15 runs on a Sunday, and it didn't matter who was out there on that Sunday, and you may score 1 run, but the game today is the one that we can win and finish it. Yes, ideally, you're able to do that. You're able to line guys up and have defined roles. I would love to be able to do that, but that when the draft is always an impact, and then injuries here and there, and so then you have to problem solve, and you can't run it out there because this is what you would like to do. You have to play the cards that you're dealt, and this is what you got, and find the best way to be successful.
Back to that Purdue reliever, how do you guys get your batters to adjust from at bat to at bat better?
Yeah.
Obviously, he went through the lineup 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? That part is really frustrating because we've done it and we have shown the ability to do it. Some of it's youthfulness, and some of it's hard-headedness, and some of it's just I think we've won 5 games in a row, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. The offense has been good and has produced in those situations, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. So I would say a combination of those things. But yeah, you're talking about it in the moment. You're talking about it in the dugout. You're talking about it as they walk up. And sometimes baseball is just a hard game, and I'm not in batter's box, and so I'm sure they look at me and say, well, yeah, I can look at your numbers, and you got out too, and you hit double plays, and you didn't always, so I try to remember what it was like to play and remember the difficulty of it. And I don't want to cast a down on them. I also don't want to throw it away as like, hey, today wasn't our day. Somewhere in the middle of that is reality. So today we didn't do it for whatever reason.
Hanley looked really different between the first time he faced him and the second time.
Yeah.
What did Hanley do different that made him
just hit
successful?
over the plate? He pulled off. He got an early. He's been really good with guys in scoring position. He's been really good at staying out over in the left field because they're going to spin him away and fastball away, and they'll give up a single, but they don't want a 3-run homer. And he got the slider that he always shoots this way, and he just pulled off of it. And then you got the one to hit, and he lost his direction. And now they're gonna throw that one that starts in the middle and go away, and so try to either you're gonna chase or they're gonna walk you, and try to set up a double play. And so he just, once you miss your pitch, it was harder. The second time through, that's the really good thing about Jake is he's intelligent, adjustable, and you may get him once, but you probably won't get him twice. And so the next time up, he was really focused on being in the middle of the field, knowing they probably were going to follow a similar pitch plan, and he adjusts quickly. To your point, that's what you have to be able to do. They may get one guy, hey, I'm a righty. This is what they did to this righty. If Plan B was as good as Plan A, it would be Plan A. They're going to stick with Plan A until you make them adjust, and we didn't do that. Frustrating, yes.
Jeff, kind of a really big picture question. The last 2 days, the crowds here at the stadium have been overflow, great crowds, big interest in IU baseball.
Yep.
And when you look at the kind of the bigger things going on in college athletics, the House settlement, things like that, sports like baseball aren't really being taken into account. It's more like you guys have to deal with the consequences of whatever comes from it.
Yeah.
When you see the interest out here, and you know that what your own players and what you've had to go through as a coach to deal with these consequences, does it bother you or do you just kind of accept it in terms of what changes are coming, knowing that people still support what is, not what's coming?
Right.
How do you kind of square that in your mind?
Yeah, that is a big picture question. Huh?
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all right. I was hoping you were going to question my hit and run call. No, I don't know. I mean, the roster reduction or lack thereof. The really hard part right now is that nobody knows any of the rules, and that makes it really hard. You don't know the money you have. You don't know the roster spots that you have. It could be 34. It could be unlimited. You have no idea. At least if you knew and this isn't anyone's fault right now. This is not Indiana. This is, like you said, big picture.
Yeah.
If you knew what the rules were, then you could begin to formulate a plan and begin to attack it and be organized and move your way through it. The hard part of not knowing. But I think as the power conferences consolidate and the roster limits come, I think you're going to see a greater parity across college baseball and college sports, just because right now you have just an accumulation of so many players on rosters, right? And so as those players are forced to then spread out, you have a greater level of parity that you can go and recruit different guys that match your system, and when you can keep 50, 60, 70 guys in the fall and then cut down a break, just makes that much harder for everybody to do. So from that standpoint, I think college baseball in the Big Ten is better than is going to be better than it's ever been, with the addition of the West Coast schools, and if there's any other schools that come in. So you have better teams on a day-to-day basis, which will make everybody better from this level of competition. And then I think as the rosters consolidate, I think that will allow parity from the ability to recruit different players. And then, it seems like there's going to be some, or maybe significant restriction on NIL in, what it was intended to be, as far as it wasn't supposed to be a recruiting inducement, and we all realized that went out the window like in 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And so that, if they're able to corral that and it just goes into to revenue share, I think you'll actually see less money spent in that regard, because right now it's, it depends upon what you can fundraise and what you can't. Right. And so I think that will probably limit things and help. But yeah, Indiana is a baseball school. It's a baseball state. The fan base has been tremendous, and the support is tremendous. And so, from our standpoint, I feel like the future is bright in it. It's just you that's like anything else. You have to be able to problem solve. Well, to problem solve and execute a well organized plan, you got to know what the structure is and what the rules are. And until we get that, it's just hard for me to answer completely. Sure. Because you just don't know what you're working with. But yeah, it's difficult. But everyone's going through it, where it's not just, hey, who do I pitch today and who do I pinch hit today? Because as soon as you leave the game and practice, you're trying to be honest with everybody and be truthful, but at the same time, what do you tell them? You just don't know. So we'll just kind of control things that we can control here, and then when we get more information, we'll make the best decisions and the most honest conversations that you can have.
We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but Cooper Malmazian's really just become a much more complete defender. Not that he was a bad defender at all, but he's become more of a complete defender. Is that something he's really focused on over the duration of the season?
Yeah, we work extremely hard during BP. If you watch us early, our BP, how many ground balls, the reps, the live reads that we get, it's the only time that you can really, or truly get a feel for the speed of the game. And the way that he takes BP, the way that he takes those game-like reps, has allowed him to continue to really grow and get outside of his funnel. He plays so well downhill, one-handed. That play in the 6-hole with the Sugar Kid was just a great play. It made it look easy. All the little things that he's done to really develop himself, throwing from different angles on the run, is just tremendous. He and Will both. And so it's been really impressive to watch him grow, but I think initially it's impressive to watch him work every day, and the way that he works allows him to play in the games that well, and has become really tremendous. Like I said, he was a good defender, but this level of defense is different than high school. Done an awesome job.
Great, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.